Big Bird declares war on anti-vaxxers.
Elon Musk turns to a very smart place for company advice, Twitter.
The war on Christmas being won by China and Joe Biden this year.
I'm Miriam Issa.
And I'm Keendawg. Welcome to Political Drinking Games.
Cheers.
Let's go. Yo, welcome back to Political Drinking Games. Big week this week. Always a big week in fake controversies, histrionics in Washington, D.C.
All the things. Very big week. Also, Keendawg, did you spill a cocktail on your pants, or are you just happy to see me?
I don't really want to talk about my pants. Do we want to talk about yours?
I'm not wearing pants.
Well,
I'm wearing a dress.
We're going to go there this week. We've got, of course, Elon Musk, Dave Portnoy. Maybe he needs to keep it in his pants.
He's in trouble.
Democrats running for their lifeboats after a big loss in Virginia, and a whole lot more. I'm excited to maybe put some up. What do you think? First drinking game? You want to try Kill, Kiss, Marry?
Oh, that's my favorite one.
Well, the boys know what Kill, Kiss, Marry is really called, right?
Yes.
Okay. Pratik, you're out there. Do you know what Kill, Kiss, Marry is really called?
Unfortunately, yes.
I love him so much.
You've got a very Daughters of the American Revolution scowl on your forehead. Does that mean you're not going to play with us?
I am in the mood to attack Big Bird, so I think
Whoa, Pratik coming in with the big guns. All right.
Someone getting his wings clipped down on Sesame Street. All right, well, let's do it. I've got, for our first game here,
Yes.
non-controversial...
Controversies.
Right, that's everything, right?
I love it.
That's a very broad subject.
The entire internet is non-controversial controversies. I love it.
Okay. So we're gonna kill one, kiss one.
Yes.
You know what that means. We're going to kill one, we're going to kiss one, and you're going to get stuck marrying one of them.
Yeah.
All right. So I got Big Bird from Sesame Street. Outs himself as pro-vaccine, which is apparently controversial. Ted Cruz, also a kind of lower order phylum chordata animal, reptilian, you might say. Ted Cruz says this is government propaganda for children. Gavin Newsom, speaking of monsters spotted out in the wild, Gavin Newsom spotted after 2 weeks of laying low, says he was on staycation because his kids requested it. And Joe Biden rushing to assure people that there will be toys on the shelves for Christmas because of this supply chain backlog. Can't get them in from the North Pole, a.k.a. China, on time. Miriam, they're not controversial, but are they?
No, it's all ridiculous. Oh, it's one of those weeks that angers me a lot. Okay, first of all, Big Bird, why are we hating on the flagship show of PBS? Big Bird has been teaching kids, indoctrinating them with values all along for decades. They teach you to be kind, they teach you to be respectful, and now they're teaching you that it is also important to keep your community safe with vaccines. Why are we hating on science, y'all?
Well, okay, but we're talking about science. Big Bird, we're talking about a creature who can't really even spell. It takes him 10 minutes to say the alphabet. So,
but his Twitter game is on point.
I don't want to kill Big Bird, though. No one wants to kill Big Bird.
No, do not kill Big Bird. That would make you a monster.
Pratik, I don't know. What do you think? You going to spend a night in bed with Big Bird's anti-vax? Pro-vax?
Look, I think this is actually not a fake controversy. I think it's a real one. And it ought to be taken seriously if for no other reason that Big Bird has collected millions of dollars of taxpayer funding over the years. To me, that in itself is objectionable. And the question is, why do we have a cartoon character now collecting taxpayer money and spewing propaganda? That seems like a scandal to me.
Pratik, would your conscience be more assuaged if maybe Big Bird had withheld his tweet about vaccines being awesome until the Supreme Court had finished litigating whether or not Joe Biden's vaccine mandate is legal? If the court says it's legal, are you okay with Big Bird being a big simp for vaccines?
No, look, for one thing, that there is no television show today that has any business getting taxpayer funding. But more importantly, why I don't understand when we're talking about vaccines, especially for children as young as 5 years old. I wholeheartedly reject the idea that there's any kind of clear scientific consensus on the matter. This is a decision that parents ought to be making with their doctors and other healthcare providers. Why do we have a cartoon character indoctrinating people something on a potentially...
All right, I've got the fix. This episode should be brought to you by the letters CDC. How do we feel about that?
I love that. But also, okay, if Big Biden is the one literally financing Big Bird, then why is it bad that Big Bird is spewing some of the things that Big Biden is saying?
I don't know.
Why shouldn't we have government-funded programming? Then we wouldn't have NPR, we wouldn't have PBS. I would say some of the best educational resources that we have.
I mean, Pratik, do you want to put on your Ayn Rand hat there?
I mean, there are two issues here. Number one, should there be state funding of the media? But the second is, even if we do have public money going to television, to what degree should there be any kind of editorial independence? I would argue that even if you believe that PBS and others should be getting government money, I think that's a very different question from how far they should be going in the direction of giving children public health advice.
Okay, time out. This is the United States of America. It's not the United States of Sesame Street, okay? This is Kill Kiss Mary, and I'm going to tell you that I will be marrying Gavin Newsom, being out of the public eye for 2 weeks, showing up at some Getty family billionaire wedding and saying, well, I've just been on staycation. Because you know what? The more time Gavin Newsom is not spending talking or hanging out in Sacramento passing egregious laws and COVID restrictions, the better. So I will marry the shit out of Gavin Newsom being MIA.
I agree with you. I will totally marry that. Also, there was just so much speculation. Like, was he out of the limelight because he had COVID or because he took a booster shot and it made him sick? Or did he cheat on his wife? I'm so sick and tired of all of the internet speculation.
Yeah, Pratik, you got to be on team Gavin, disappear Gavin, right?
No, look, I mean, I criticized Pete Buttigieg last week, and it's the same principle. You can take however much of a vacation you want, in my view, if you're in the private sector. But when you're the governor of a state that arguably is more powerful than many countries, I don't think you can just go and take a vacation for 2 weeks and leave taxpayers wondering what you're doing on their dime.
But let's not equate vacation with he's staying home. Those are two different things that we're conflating. We're literally living in the age of virtual work.
But what do politicians do other than look at cameras and try and get you to do what they want you to do? I mean, if Gavin Newsom isn't looking in the camera telling you to be terrified of the coronavirus and stay at home and he's in my eye, he's not really hurting us right now.
I don't know. I think he's signing a lot of bills.
All right. Big stack of bills. I guess we do need to address. I could spend a night in bed with the Democrats winning the war on Christmas. This is really a meme of supply chain backlog. Joe Biden tweeting a lot lately about how there will be toys on the shelves. They will get them out of those ships that are waiting out at sea right now. You need a little danger in your sex life, and sometimes danger comes into policymaking too, and like a pandemic.
So inflation is like an STD?
It's inevitable on some level.
It hits you every once in a while, and then you take a quick antibiotic and you're good?
Yeah. I don't think inflation isn't herpes. It's not for life.
And even herpes isn't necessarily for life.
Right. But it's also got a little bit of the the chlamydia type thing that if you let it go too far, then maybe there's no turning back.
I feel like we're letting this STD segment go a little too far.
Okay. Would you rather move on to the next segment of our drinking game? Should we just do that? You want to smile and nod?
Would you rather? Yes.
Okay. All right. So we're going to play Would You Rather right now. You know this game. We'll give you 2 bad choices or 2 good choices, and you can split the hairs and tell me what you think. So big election last week. It's in the rearview mirror now, but we're going to be sort of feeling the repercussions of it for a long time. And that's what happened in Virginia when Glenn Youngkin took out kind of best bud of the Clinton family, Terry McAuliffe. Republicans winning their first statewide race in Virginia in
Makes
a Biden.
me want to drink.
Biden plus 10 state goes R plus 2, I think.
Yeah.
But sometimes the small stuff is more instructive than what you see on CNN and Fox News. Let's talk about some of the local ballot initiatives that people voted down, because that's where the real bad news is for the Democratic Party. So first, in Minneapolis, defund the police, swatted down by a wide margin by voters themselves. Second, in New Jersey, deep blue New Jersey, impenetrably blue New Jersey, a random Republican truck driver with $135 in his bank account knocks off the Senate Democratic leader. So if you're a Democrat, if you're a politician, if you're a Democrat, would you rather be panicking right now because defund the police just went down in flames? Or would you rather be panicking right now because random Republican truck drivers are winning in deep blue territory?
If I was a Democrat, I would definitely not be panicking that defund the police was voted away in Minneapolis, because defund the police was incredibly damaging to the Democratic brand. And it's what gave so much fodder to the far right against the left. So actually, I think this is really good for Democrats. However, This guy, the truck driver,
Ed Durr.
I mean, I sincerely hope that this guy turns out to be a great legislator, but literally just read his social media from the last few years. This man, I don't think is the right person to have in charge.
Do you think that truck drivers are just not qualified to have leadership positions?
I think there could be a great truck driver. I just don't think this was the man. I think this was more populism. It's more of what happened in 2016. It's people being like, you know what, I just want to shake things up. And then they shake things up and give power to a random ass truck driver who is not well equipped.
Would you think he was better equipped if he was like gender confused and wanted to raise taxes on rich people?
Maybe the far left would feel that way, but I do not.
Pratik, we can also read this another way. These could be two very triumphant news stories, right? Like we have Democrats maybe moving on from an issue that's really hurt them with voters, defund the police. And we have just a regular Joe. You know, it's like Jimmy Stewart, Mr. Smith goes to Washington, but instead of being a school teacher, Mr. Smith happens to be a truck driver.
He is not a regular Joe. This is a man that has hated on Muslims in the past.
In some parts of this country, that's a regular Joe. Pratik, take us out of the gutter here. Tell me that there's some optimism in both of these stories.
Well, I did find optimism in the Ed Durr truck driver story, not because I'm endorsing Ed Durr, but I think one of the real problems in our system is the fact that incumbents have a huge advantage in our system. And it wasn't that long ago that people were talking about maybe term limits for Congress or whatever. That seems not to be the case. And I think one problem here is that a lot of the reason why incumbents get elected over and over again is because a certain myth has set in that it's too hard to beat them and it's not worth the effort to challenge them. So whatever you think of Ed Durr, my hope would be that the Durr victory here will encourage other would-be challengers to come and force incumbents to actually defend their position.
But the would-be challengers have to be better than the incumbents. Otherwise, we're just getting a Congress filled with Marjorie Taylor Greens.
I think if you if you actually looked hard at like who's a competent politician, I think a lot of times there are people who are really weird and kind of suck at other stuff. Like I feel like being a polished lawyer doesn't necessarily net the. I mean, that's like our political class, right? They're like lawyers who are a big deal in their hometown, and they think that people should listen to what they have to say. So I don't really know a lot about Ed Durr, but what would be the worst thing to have some people like this in charge?
Literally, yes. Literally, yes is the answer to that question.
Okay. All right, let's move on. We've been talking about the good old blue-collar truck driver, Mr. America, or at least Mr. New Jersey. Let's talk about billionaires costing their investors a lot of money. So this past week, in case you missed it, Elon Musk asked his Twitter followers, should I sell 10% of my Tesla holdings? They said yes. I think Tesla's market cap or valuation dropped by $50 billion like that. So would you rather lose money because of your CEO's social media addiction? Or would you rather maybe be one of the investors in Barstool or Barstool Sports or Penn? I guess Penn Gaming is the company that owns them. And, El Presidente, El Presidente, right?
A little bit, but do tell.
It's like the beard and the glasses and the just like, $1 billion of toxic masculinity is... I might have gone a little too far there with the toxic. But anyway, Dave Portnoy, CEO, or not CEO, El Presidente of Barstool Sports, his sexual dalliances have cost his company billions of dollars as well. So I ask you.
Alleged sexual dalliances.
Well,
because we have a team of lawyers that watch this episode.
I don't think the sexual dalliances are alleged. I think it's like, were they illegal or wrong, or, the morality is what's alleged. But I don't think he's released the screenshots of him like sending dick pics to 20-year-old girls.
It happens.
That's right. You live in Los Angeles. You know the type.
Y'all should see my Instagram DMs. It's crazy. Anyway.
Okay, so Pratik, I'll start with you. Would you rather be an investor losing money because of your CEO's social media problem, or an investor losing your 401k because of your CEO's banging young chicks who he shouldn't be banging problem?
Look, here's the thing. I actually am not convinced that Elon Musk did the wrong thing. And the reason I say that is there's actually a pretty robust literature on prediction and so forth. And one of the things that they found is that experts and people at higher levels of corporations actually are not very good at making predictions. And often if you simply outsource a decision to a crowd or a marketplace, they end up getting better outcomes. I don't know if the Twitter mob got it right this time around, but I think if a lot of decisions were actually left up to Twitter polls, we probably actually would get better outcomes.
Do you think that Ed Durr, the truck driver, would make a better decision than his Twitter poll?
Well, so that's the point, right? Ed Durr may not be making a good decision, but millions of Ed Durrs on Twitter, they may actually do better than you'd think.
These are one of those weird moments where I actually kind of agree with Pratik because Elon Musk was trying to make a statement. Elon Musk has been at the center of the internet when we keep talking about how we're not taxing billionaires enough. And part of that is because we're not taxing them on unrealized capital gains. And so his original tweet was actually, well, if I now have to, if everyone's talking about me and my unrealized capital gains, then I guess I should sell my Twitter. He was trying to make a statement on taxes.
I mean, it's kind of cause and effect. It's like, you want to come at me, bro? Then like all the grandmas and teacher unions whose pensions are in my company.
Yeah.
They can take a bath too.
Exactly. That's what. But I also want to say that like no matter the results of this Twitter poll, Musk was going to have to start selling shares anyway because his taxes are due. The IRS is coming, and he was going to have to sell a bunch of shares.
I mean, isn't this kind of what Elon Musk and Dave Portnoy do? Like they have their own kind of unique brand of controversy that they like to create to kind of get eyeballs and interests into their companies. Like what would Dave?
Kind of like you, Keendawg.
You're giving me too much credit. I'm just a boring guy in a blue shirt.
It's kind of great, but whatever.
What are you gonna do? All right, I guess I would just rather have my money in Elon Musk's company. So like if he's gonna do something stupid, I can trust that he'll fix it a little better than Dave Portnoy, who
We agree.
Yeah.
Would we rather? We'd rather be Elon.
PJ, what do you got?
Oh, Elon for sure.
Okay.
We all agree. Someone write that down.
Boy,
It never happens on this show.
I'm gonna change my position just to piss you guys off.
No, don't do that, Alex.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna talk about like fake celebrities who might be the real celebrities now. Might take us a second to get there. Do you remember? Have you ever heard the term the intellectual dark web?
Have I heard the term? I am the master of the intellectual dark web.
Is that actually true?
Yeah.
Okay. Who do you think of when you think of like the intellectual dark web?
Sam Harris and Dave Rubin.
Okay.
ContraPoints.
Okay. All right. So just
See, I had names, mofo.
Boom. Bring
I
those
know what's
receipts.
up.
Bring those receipts. All right. So this week, a bunch of huge social media stars in the sort of libertarian center have said they're starting a new university. I'm talking about Barry Weiss, who's got one of the biggest Substacks. I'm talking about Steven Pinker, the Harvard professor. David Mamet, who wrote like Glengarry Glen Ross.
David Mamet? Seriously?
David fucking Mamet.
Oh my God.
Larry Summers, kind of the original victim of cancel culture when he was the provost at Harvard.
I did not know it was all these names.
I think he was the head of the Council of Economic Advisors for Barack Obama. These are big names.
These are huge names.
So
huge, amazing thinkers.
Right? All these big names have decided to start a university called the University of Austin. But none of them have any real power. They're just people on social media who human beings listen to. So
I mean, isn't that the ultimate power?
I think so, but
Isn't
that's
that
where we're
literally
going.
what this company is based on?
That's where it is, and that's where we're going. Okay. So boom, other side, we have Black Lives Matter. Remember them?
I do remember them.
BLM. Okay. So the whole, like all of 2020 was like, I feel like a response to the energy that Black Lives Matter created after George Floyd's death. And yet it took Joe Biden 5 or 6 months to even have a meeting with them. Police reform is dead in the Senate. So we have another just massively powerful grassroots organization with no institutional power in America right now. So I'm going to ask you guys, would you rather bet that institutions like these will incite institutional change? Or would you rather bet on institutions changing America, new institutions? So
I'm going to ask you, please restate the question.
Yeah, Jesus, get tripped up on like your own shitty poetry, right?
Cute.
Would you rather bet that American institutions will change because of these organizations, the University of Austin and Black Lives Matter, or would you rather bet that the institutions that BLM and these free thinkers are creating are what is going to change America?
So like institutions will change or new motherfucking institutions? That's
Old
the question.
shit gets better or new shit just goes to the moon?
I love this question. It's such a good question. I would first.
That means you need a good answer.
We'll see. I would
clock.
first say the reason why BLM has been suffering and the reason why maybe it took Biden so long to like meet with people from BLM is because BLM has faltered many times, starting with the Cuba protests in July. I just think BLM has hurt their own brand.
Isn't that though just what people do? I mean, like think of has there ever been a political cause that didn't kind of piss people off by using their political power?
But I don't think that's what happened. I think specifically BLM undermined their very own values and their very own stated mission. Anyway, the founders have. You know what? I don't think that institutions change enough. I think new institutions swoop in and kill them.
But Pratik, the value of institutions is that they don't change, right?
Well, look, yeah, yes and no. I mean, first of all, I think the way that you outlined BLM, I think I would maybe have a more generous take on them. For one thing, I don't think BLM actually ought to be held to the standard of what an institution should be. This is a political and a social movement that I would argue began and really gained steam during the Obama years. And I would argue in a certain sense, they've already won. I mean, you go to any mainline Protestant church in an urban area, they have a BLM flag. Our diplomats are flying BLM flags, and they've put police reform, race relations, so forth on the national agenda. So I would argue they've already succeeded in transforming institutions. In terms of the University of Austin, I mean, look, again, I'm pretty optimistic because I think that there are one of two scenarios here. Either they actually succeed as an institution, they create an alternative to the marketplace, or even if they don't take off, they're going to at least fire a shot at existing institutions and cause them to think that they're maybe.
Here's the thing, though, and like we're based in Los Angeles, and I think to some extent the way media and entertainment and technology have changed is an indicator of how all this other stuff is going to change too. And I just don't think it's scalable to bet on these lightning in a bottle type movements and people. You know, like a Barry Weiss who can leave the Wall Street Journal and then have millions of followers and subscribers. Like you need institutions to produce talent and produce ideas and produce products. So like something has to give here, right?
Sure, but what's the question that we're trying to answer here? What's better? What's more powerful? An institution changing versus a new institution coming in and providing a value that we currently don't have and people are hungry for? Like we are seeing an atrophy of, free speech in universities. All of the amazing thinkers that you cited are really important thinkers and thought leaders, and they've all been canceled, I would say, for unjust causes. So I'm hungry for what they have to say, and if they want to start a school, I'll sign up.
I mean, I think in America, betting on competition is always the best idea. So, like the idea that these new thinkers will create new institutions, you know what? I want to give it to them. I think I'd rather take that end of the bet.
I mean, think about it. Like 15 years ago, crypto didn't exist. Now it is an institution. It is a sector. It is a philosophy. So, look at how much space it takes up.
PJ, the rocks to you, and then we got to go to Two Truths and a Lie.
Yeah, I mean, it ties back to our conversation about incumbent politicians, that I think that the only way you can really determine for sure if an existing institution is actually worthwhile and coherent is whether or not they can deal with competitors. And I think that even the process of fielding a competition may lead to other things down the line, even if the particular reform doesn't succeed.
Well, I think it only took... I think it only took 300 years for Harvard to be on par with Oxford and Exeter and all those good British universities. So maybe 300 years from now, our kids will be going to the University of Austin and pursuing their medical degrees there with, whatever free thinking.
There you go.
All right, last game, grand finale.
Game.
Thank God. Cheers. Bottoms up. What are we
Look
supposed
at how
to say?
slow we drink, y'all. We are lame.
No comment, but probably true. Many people are saying lame.
Oh.
Two Truths and a Lie. Okay, so turn on C-SPAN, or actually turn it off. Just listen to us talk about what's on C-SPAN. Huge win for President Biden last week. He finally kind of begged, borrowed, and stole the votes to get his sort of signature $2 trillion infrastructure bill through. They call it Biff, actually, like the character from Back to the Future. Did you know that?
Oh, Biff.
Yeah, Biff.
I'm old enough to know what that means.
Yeah. But I think
Don't do the math.
I think it's like good Biff. It's not bad Biff. But anyway, so finally, this thing that Joe Biden has been working on for a year. We love to hate on Joe Biden sometimes. We got to give credit to Joe Biden today, okay? He finally got it done. Him and Nancy Pelosi got it done.
All right.
So let's make it fun and less boring and just do Two Truths and a Lie about what the hell happened to this bill at midnight on Friday. So
way better than C-SPAN, yes.
Way better. All right, first, weird bipartisan coalition. It actually is called the Bipartisan Infrastructure Framework. So lives up to its name. Weird bipartisan coalition in the House. Same number of Democrats voted no as Republicans that voted yes. You don't see that a lot.
I never see that.
Just like, what is it, the 70s again? Like, we're not even taking votes on the record anymore so that people, don't have to know when we're voting with the other team.
That's
but
funny.
Still happens sometimes. As of today, when we're recording it, 6 days later, Joe Biden hasn't even signed it. So his signature bill, but he hasn't signed it 6 days later.
This is the second one.
The second one.
Okay. All
Second one.
Okay.
And 3, the third truth that might be fake news.
Okay.
Might be fake news. I'm not going to guarantee it's fake news, but it might be. Donald Trump is demanding that all the Republicans who voted for Biff be removed from their committees and punished immediately.
Interesting.
That sounds kind of like something Trump would do,
No,
right?
That's like, obviously. That is obviously. All right. So either the same number of Republicans voted for it as the same number of Democrats voted against it, or Joe Biden hasn't signed it, or Trump is hating on the Republicans that did sign it.
Right.
Question here.
Right. Wants
Okay, well,
them
I think,
off their committees.
The last one is obviously true. The man suffers from narcissistic personality disorder, and he is the number one hater. So I would say that's a fact.
Okay.
And if it's not, it's a matter of time before he tweets that out.
That's right.
Oh, wait. He's not on Twitter.
Oh. Sucker. Pratik, maybe I made this the difficult level, just a little too low here. I guess we got to throw out Donald Trump, right? Like he obviously is hating on those Republicans. How do you feel about Joe Biden not signing his own favorite bill?
I think he has not, and I think the reason is that members of Congress aren't even in Washington, and he wants to have a big party and photo shoot. Yeah, so I think that one may be true.
You're not.
I'm leaning toward. Yeah.
You're not willing to take a
I'm
flyer here.
I'm leaning toward number one not being true because I saw on Twitter it was trending the 13 Republicans who are now traitors in the eyes of the conservative movement. If I remember correctly, the Progressive Caucus, who are the ones whining about the bill, I think there are fewer than 13. I could be wrong about that.
A lot of weird bedfellows in Congress, though.
Yeah, I'm going with one being the lie, but I'm not totally sure.
All right.
So basically, the bill was signed by a bunch of moderates, is what we're saying. So like the far lefties didn't sign it, and then some of the center right people did.
Right. And it's a big deal because they thought that the longer they kind of kick this thing in the balls, like the better chances that they could stop all the other stuff Joe Biden wants to do.
Right.
So a lot of people have their panties twisted up right now.
Panties twisted up. I hate that.
A lot of that in Congress.
I loved Pratik's deductive reasoning. I am going with Pratik. I think the first one is a lie.
All right.
Who's right?
So, of course, you're right. You little
We
geniuses.
are?
You little geniuses.
Thank you, Pratik.
Okay, so it was, I think, 6 Democrats voted no, 13 Republicans voted yes. They are in a lot of hot water right now, not just from the Trumpies, but from like the longtime institutional loyalists in the House, because, again, this was the sort of golden arrow to shoot that Biden agenda out of the sky with. And yes, 6 days later, no one has signed this bill because, you know what? What is the press going to say if Joe Biden signs this bill in the Oval Office and Kyrsten Sinema or Joe Manchin isn't in the room with him? Imagine that story.
No, we need a party. We need strippers. We need all the things.
We just need Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema in the same room, so no one says, "What's going on with Joe and Kyrsten?"
That's very true.
It's very true, and fortunately, very fortunate. We're out of bullets for today.
Oh my God, we did it.
Yeah, I gotta grab some new Crispy Boys.
Good job, you. What did you say? Crispy Boys?
Crispy Boys.
What is that? Is that like a crispy donut?
No, it's like a Bud Light or a Coors Light. It's a nice crispy, just a nice crispy.
I'll take a crispy donut.
A lot of like nice shitty beer. We're shitty beer people here. All right, I'm Keendawg. This has been this week's political drinking games. On behalf of Erupt, by the way, www.erupt.news.
Yes.
And my co-hosts. You want to holler at the boys?
Yeah. Also follow us on all the things. Follow Erupt at Erupt now.
Yes.
Good.
Immediately.
I should definitely know that. At Miriam_Isa on Instagram. What is
I'm Keendawg. I'm just Keendawg. That's all I am.
Just always Keendawg.
I was actually grown in a petri dish to make bad jokes about politics. Pratik, you're still here. You want to say goodbye?
Bye.
Oh my God.
All right, game over. We'll see you next time on Erupt.